Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Breakfast Club. We have a very exciting guest here today. He has a great history of vocational education, has a great history in education. His name is David Ferreira, and he's been doing this for a lot of years, and it's important that they know that. And start off with Diamond, you said earlier.
Thank you, Tom, and it's a pleasure to be here. Yes, my career in vocational technical education started right after I got out of the military and graduated from college at Diamond Regional. And I was actually a physics and general science teacher at Diamond for 7 years. And after 7 years, I was promoted to the academic post-secondary coordinator's position, which I served for 5 additional years. So my roots are at Diamond Regional in education, and in particular vocational education. Following that, I moved to the principalship at Old Colony Regional Voc Tech, which is over in Rochester, Mass., where I served as principal for 6 years and was then promoted to superintendent of Old Colony, where I served for 16 years. And despite my youthful appearance, I was really still ready for more. And at that point, I left the public school sector and moved into leading a statewide association called M.A.V.A. M.A.V.A. stands for the Massachusetts Association of Vocational Administrators, and in its membership includes every vocational, technical, and agricultural high school in Massachusetts, which is about 55 different schools. And I had the distinct honor and pleasure of leading that organization and all of those schools and advocating for those schools across the state. Naturally, I needed an office to work out of during the past 10 years, and that ended up being Greater New Bedford Voc Tech, just not very far from Bristol, Aggie. And probably the proudest thing I have accomplished through the help of everyone in Voc Ed, and particularly our students, is the successes that have occurred. I remember, and you probably do, Senator, that in the old days, vocational schools and agricultural schools were for other people's children.
Yeah.
They were for the other kids. They weren't college material. That's right. They learned with their hands instead of their mind. That has all changed today.
Certainly.
Today, with the high technology and the tremendous improvement and advances in all of our career paths, today we need high-skilled workers for today's economy that are not only good with their hands and mechanically inclined, but intellectually and academically able to communicate, collaborate, problem solve, and do a lot of deep thinking about their job and their career. So that's been a huge change. In fact, at one time, anybody could go to a Voc school. There was plenty of empty seats at Diamond. There were plenty of empty seats at Bristol Aggie. But today, you actually have to get admitted into these schools through an admissions plan that's approved by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And statewide, we've actually had a decline in the number of high school age students in public school education. Yes. Over the last 10 years, it's actually gone down by 3%. There are 3% less high school age students in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. During the same 10 years, the number of kids in vocational education, while the population is going down, has risen 6.5%. So as a result, we have more kids overall trying to access the opportunity of both an academic and a career opportunity hand in hand, and we end up with some waiting lists in some of our schools. That is applicable at Diamond,
Very much so.
Greater New Bedford, and here at Bristol Aggie. So as a result, it's important that our schools be able to expand. And we have been working hard and advocating with our friends in the executive office and in the legislature, who have been extremely helpful in trying to get more seats. In addition, the governor's office and his Mass Capital Skills Cabinet have been very generous in terms of providing capital funding for equipment. You and I probably can remember back in the day when the machine shop was the old hand-turn lathes. And Diamond, as a matter of fact, had the largest machine shop for instructional purposes in the state and still does. But if you go into Diamond's advanced manufacturing lab today, it's a whole different world.
It is.
We're talking about pieces of equipment that are worth $500,000 for one piece of high-tech equipment. And the government has been very helpful in terms of providing capital funding with the backing of the legislature so that we have been able to upgrade a lot of these shops and get them to the point where when a student graduates, they can move into these high-tech industries which pay extremely well. So that's been, for me, the passion.
For you, David.
Yeah, a lifetime for me. And I can go back to those first days at Diamond.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, without dating myself, when Diamond first opened, it was an all-boys school, if you recall.
Yes, it was.
And even as a regional school, there were no girls. And I was one of the faculty who was the faculty members who were there when the first girls entered Diamond as freshmen. And over the next 4 years, of course, we got to the point today where at Diamond, it's a lot closer to a 50-50
It is. It really
split.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you for that time, that effort, and your heart was always in everything you did.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything you did, you loved it.
Yeah, I do.
Today, when we look at it, you're right that it's tough there are a lot of people who are turned away from the trade schools who want to be in the trade schools, and so the crush comes on, how to get more space and how to do that. Now this isn't just tied to Diamond. This is tied to because we're sitting here on the campus of Bristol, Aggie, and I'm looking out at thousands of acres and saying to myself, they're tied down to the sort of area. But each one of the agricultural schools, the love of that, and the love of the trade schools is what's going to make America great.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that there are no turnaways at the other schools. There are many seats to be had at other schools because the times have changed. And when you look at, we did the courses, and we want to do the courses in your honor, if you will, about some of the futures we do with the TV thing. And the question would be is that you can see where there's just such a need, there's such an appetite for this, that just by turning on YouTube and getting to look at Bristol Aggie, and then going Diamond, and doing things in the area, because we're restricted with television to where we can go. But we have dedicated ourselves to we do this stuff locally, but we are dedicated to doing the schools and dedicated to doing, helping Diamond get elected, get a new school. The odds are always against that in a way, because what happens is at a regional school, you pick up, in the case of at Aggie, I don't know, you have different formulas. You have the registration of homes or cars or whatever. We get to the registry department, they get money. They get money coming in all the time. They have at least that flux of something. It doesn't get them to the golden prize. They still have to go out and seek money in an area. And so they do that, where academic schools can get, one shot at one place. If you can get Fall River, and that's it. Diamond has to get Fall River. That'll be the second time. Westport got a new school. That'll be the second time. Somerset will be it. That's the second time. I mean, so it really it has not played in their favor as far as getting that. But but that's why we believe that the more you show the schools the talent of these kids, the possible growth of a nation, and you saw no matter what it is, farming or horses or agriculture, saving the environment. There's so many things that can go on in these schools that is not going to go on in the other schools. And not that I'm not trying to put down the academic value. I'm saying that I want to bring up the voc training, bring up the investment you have made.
Right.
I, in a small way, part have made. But it's just so much far cry from what it was deemed as years ago.
Yeah, it's not your grandfather's vocational technical education, and in our case, maybe our father's vocational technical education. Things are much different today, and you see it all the time when you look at employment changes across the country and what sectors of the economy are growing, those are the areas that we need to provide skilled workers.
Yes.
The middle skills gap is a term that's used an awful lot. Middle skills isn't lesser skills.
No.
You can make a very good living as a machinist. You can make a very good living in many of the occupational programs. But the beauty of vocational technical schools or agricultural schools, because today they meet the same academic standards as a comprehensive high school, you have a choice upon graduation. You can go directly into the workforce, or you can go on to post-secondary education, so 2-year, 4-year. And today the statistics are statewide that 2/3 of all vocational technical and agricultural graduates go on to college. They don't go directly into the workforce. But the beauty is they go into the post-secondary in a career path they are already familiar with, in advanced standing in some cases because of articulation agreements, so they're getting credit for their high school education at the post-secondary level, and are moving faster into that workforce with even a higher skill set. So that kind of thing with less debt is something, you know, if you have to start from the beginning, you've saved some money through post-secondary education. These are things that parents want for their students. Yeah. When you and I were students in school, we went to the local high school. There was no choice.
No.
But back in 1993, I believe you were still in the legislature.
Yes, I was, I believe, yes.
And you were part of the change to the Educational Reform Act, which was 25 years ago, and the Department of Ed is celebrating that this month, as a matter of fact.
I remember when this school was in trouble with closing. I remember
That's
that
right.
was just a rude awakening to the fact that this existed and could possibly happen.
Yep.
And times changed around all that time. Everything changed, but people started to pay attention to it.
That's right.
To the vocational need.
Yep.
The vocational success.
That's correct. And an Aggie school today isn't just farming. That's one aspect of it, or cattle, or it's so much broader than that. And we've brought into it the scientific aspects. I know when you meet with Superintendent Sands, you'll learn about what they do with small animals, with turtles, with endangered species, with animal care, whether it's grooming or whether it's vet tech programs. These are the kinds of programs that there are many job opportunities for, even if the farming part of it is kind of stable right now.
Yeah.
But there are generations of farmers that are turning over also, and we're seeing that there's a struggle to get people interested in farming and local produce, which is something, the sustainability issue that, again, the superintendent will be able to show you as you run through these programs at the Aggie School, that you'll be extremely impressed with. And it's not limited, of course. This is going on statewide.
Yeah.
Norfolk County has a beautiful agricultural, county agricultural high school as well. Essex Technical and Agricultural. There are 3 schools, actually 4 schools, that offer an abundance of Aggie programs. Obviously, Bristol here, Norfolk in Walpole.
Yep.
I hope I had
Essex.
the right. Essex Tech, which is a combination Voc Tech and agricultural high school. And similarly out west in Northampton is Smith Vocational and Agricultural High School. So there are 4 different venues. Some of our Voc Tech schools also have landscaping programs. And so, but they only offer that one program.
Actually, the school system that you've embraced for your whole life have a way to solve a lot of the national problems. I mean, I'm looking at what the Diamond we witnessed and taped a scientific food program where they use science to get to make, in this case it was ice cream. And the question is, if you look at that with starvation in the world, and you look at the farmland that is available, and that comes back in in a money-making situation as well. People, the students, can go over into that and make we can do well at that.
Yeah.
But the point is there is a way to do something if you're shortage of cows or steaks or, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, and it's amazing that that's being done in a trade school and a high school level.
is
By the way,
amazing.
ahead of summer colleges around here. So
Or in affiliation with
affiliation
colleges.
yes.
Both ways. We hear the term STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. The governor has a STEM council. The previous governor had a STEM council. STEM is throughout vocational, technical, and agricultural high schools. We teach science. We teach technology. We teach engineering, and we certainly use mathematics. And our approach, whether it's an Aggie school or a Voc Tech school, is to integrate and give meaning to the mathematics, give meaning to the science by applying it to their career field. So a student in carpentry, for example, who is building the rafters for a house, there's a tremendous amount of mathematics in designing that and in constructing that. Truss work, for example, is extremely complex and requires an engineer to approve trusses for a house. When you teach something to someone that's purely academic without giving it an application, the answer from the student many times is, what do I need to know that for? Particularly at high school.
Yeah.
High school kids have difficulty remembering what they're going to do tomorrow, let alone
Yeah.
10 years from now.
Trade school will be a little different, though. I
Trade school's entirely different because we teach and reinforce, we integrate those mathematical skills or those English skills, or particularly the science skills, right in the vocational, technical, or agricultural program in a meaningful and understanding way for the students. So it's a pedagogy. I hate to use a big word like pedagogy, but that's the teaching methodology that we use to teach hands-on skills along with academic skills. So the student comes out of one of our high schools and can do both. And that's extremely important to student success and their motivation to continue their education or go out into the workforce in something that they can advance in. You know, no one wants to go into a job out of high school and just do that same job for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They want to be able to advance up the career ladder. And to advance up the career ladder, you need some academic skills, not just the ability to do a simple job. Plus, the jobs are changing. Masons now, some masonry work is done robotically.
Hey.
Now, who fixes those robots? They are technicians, not engineers, but technicians. They understand the electronics, the pneumatics, the mechanical operation of a robot. Those are the people where job opportunities exist. Those are the people, those are the technicians that we help to train for tomorrow's workforce. So I'm very proud of what we do, and I think what we do does, as you said, need to be expanded where there's a high need. The gateway cities, the Fall Rivers, the New Bedfords, the Brocktons, the Lawrence, Lowell, those communities have waiting lists. We could use bigger schools, more seats, and access more opportunity for kids to enjoy and succeed in vocational, technical, and agricultural education.
The industry itself, no matter what category we fall in, has a ready-made thousands, millions actually of children who could be trained and are being trained in those fields.
Yep.
And when you talk about a new school, David, and I like it as a campus.
Yep.
I like the campus atmosphere for a new school because I like each particular course to have a building where they have sponsors from big companies. That some of the extra equipment they need, something that goes out of the state budget, something they can't get has to be supplied there.
Right.
But an open way to do it would enhance more seats in agricultural schools, more opportunities in the world.
Right. I
the
think
world.
yeah, I think the important thing when we talk about the linkage between business and industry and education is that we have to remember it has to be a two-way street. Doing this to a business and give me, give me, give me isn't going to work.
No.
What we have to do is, if you give me this
You have
piece
to-
of equipment, I will train your future
you got it,
employees.
you got it.
And that kind of collaborative relationship is very important. Now, Aggie schools and all of the Voc Tech schools are under statute, Chapter 74 of the general laws, have to have advisory boards made up of people from business, industry, labor, apprenticeship unions,
right.
teachers, students, and parents who meet twice a year and by law and have to sit down and review curriculum, talk about equipment needs, talk about what's changing in the industry, and what opportunities there are for our kids to intern or get involved in what we call cooperative education, where seniors which have met certain standards actually go to work instead of coming to school during their vocational cycle. And I'm sure
the co-op program.
that co-op program at Diamond is extremely successful.
Yes.
A lot of internship programs are available here at Bristol Aggie and at Norfolk Aggie, where they're working with different agencies in the state. So students are not just limited to a laboratory at the school or a building at the school. They're actually out in the community.
Yep.
They're out seeing professionals working hand in hand and side by side. And I think you, again, when you meet with Superintendent Adele Sands here at Bristol Aggie, that's something she can point out to you, specific opportunities, interviewing some kids. And what does that mean to a student who, still in high school, is now working at this facility or that facility and putting their skills to work? It just gives that motivation and that opportunity to expand what they know and what they learn in a real life situation.
One of the classrooms that we went to at Diamond, David, was we had welding. And the teacher there told me that they can't get enough kids for welders, and I pointed to the national program of military buildup.
Yep.
And how much how much welders play a tremendous role in that.
Yep.
And I went to a group that we go to, and Tin Can Sailors, which locates in Somerset, its office, and we do actually we have a show that we do called Veterans Corner. We've actually gone to nursing homes and talked to veterans, sort of to say hello to them.
Yeah.
How everything
nice.
is going with them. We've done that.
That's
Done that, and we're waiting for any time we get a call that someone is admitted, a patient is. I mean, we don't do it in their room. We do it in a little library there, and then we have their picture and we put them up at Veterans Corner, and we do that, and because it reminds us of the times and the places that they've been, and the things that they witnessed.
Absolutely.
Not the horrors, the people they've met, the universal act. Well, I went back from that class and I went to the Tin Can Sailors, and I asked one of the guys on the computer to look up the advisability of welders from the Navy.
right.
And he came back with an issue and said to me that they showed me a thing, and I gave it to the teacher in the department, where an application can be filled out that they can go to any one of the shipyards close by and far away to be working right away if they come through the certification.
Right.
Now, I know that this thing is like one thing. It's not a small thing. It's a big thing when you think about it, because it rotates into so many other things.
That's right. Well, welding is a field that has many different aspects, many different types of welding. There is robotic welding now, actually, and lasers are being used in our schools do teach that as well. We're pushing in all of our programs for some kind of what we call third-party credential. It could be anything from a Microsoft certification for application software. AWS, the American Welding Society, has all different kinds of certifications for overhead welding,
Unbelievable.
arc welding, plasma welding. And all of these skills, the kids are coming out at 18 years old with a certificate that not only says they learned the skill, they've proven because they passed the exam, and that makes them highly employable.
I don't know where the time goes. It flies by when you set up a certain time limit when you talk to people. And for David Ferreira, obviously, he's going back many, many years and many, many things that we all enhance. We, SATV, and would like to thank him for spending his time actually sitting in the offices of the superintendent of Bristol Aggie, a school that everybody must see. And we will make sure they do see it. So for David Ferreira and all of the things he's done, is appreciated by us.
Thank you.
Don't forget
Appreciate
that.
having me.
Don't forget him.